Well, good afternoon, everybody, and good morning to those in Central Time. My name is Ryan with Great Lake. There we go. Did not realize I was muted, but welcome to the stream, guys. Good afternoon. Good morning. Got bugs flying around me. It's a nice warm day up here in Michigan. Hopefully leaves me alone there. But anyway, we got some updates to share with you guys in regards to the upcoming couple of severe risks that we have for parts of the region. So go ahead and break it down as simply as possible. So first and foremost, your SPC risk for today does highlight parts of southwestern Wisconsin, as well as most all of the state of Illinois. Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan does not have a threat today, but there is a chance in those areas of a pop-up type of storm that may affect some of these areas. But no severe weather is expected outside of that southwest Wisconsin and most all of Illinois. There, hazards today are going to be mainly damaging winds, which is right here. Large hail be also a threat today, and then the tornado risk is tied to extreme west parts of Illinois. So places like Quincy, St. Louis, Quincy. That's about all I see on the map here. I can really share with you guys. That's for today, though. Much higher risk out to our west here in Iowa, Missouri, Nebraska, and Kansas. The interesting day to watch has kind of been more so Saturday, and that's going to be this risk right here. We do have a slight risk that extends all the way into northern Michigan, parts of west central Michigan, all the way back through southern and southwest, or southern and central Wisconsin, all the way back through parts of Illinois. That's going to be a risk to watch very closely. And this is not a slam dunk risk tomorrow either. Much higher threat off to our west and south, again in the plains. But we do have a risk tomorrow in our region here for all hazards being possible. First is going to be tornadoes. Tornadoes is the lowest threat tomorrow. That's going to be highlighted in areas in green here. We're going to see places like Alpena, Gaylord, Green Bay, Sheboygan, Milwaukee, Madison, Rockford, Peoria, Quincy, all those areas there in the dark green color getting in on that tornadic risk for tomorrow. Your main hazards are going to be wind and hail. Is going to be a level 2 risk for those. So 15%, we call them 15% risks for damaging winds and large hail. Again, in that slight risk level 2 area, we've seen exact same area here from Alpena, Gaylord, back through Green Bay and Milwaukee. I'll go ahead and say Chicago's borderline on that, just getting out of the highest risk, but so close, you might as well just pay attention a little bit higher there. Still a risk nonetheless, but that extends all the way back into the plains there with the highest risk still off to our west and south there in parts of Iowa and Missouri. And then we're going to be looking at the hail risk again for the exact same areas for Michigan, Wisconsin, back in through Illinois. So exact same lining up areas here of that higher risk we're going to be looking at for tomorrow. So that's for tomorrow. We'll go over that in a little bit more detail because I think that's the highest threat on the horizon. But I do want to mention as well, we do have a risk once again for Sunday. I do think there's potential for this to be shifted further to the east across portions of Michigan. I think there is a low end risk in Michigan for Sunday. We'll have to figure that out tomorrow morning with the new update, stuff like that. But I do think Sunday has a low chance all the way through Michigan for severe weather. But the main areas right now are off to the west in Wisconsin and parts of Illinois, with a slight risk extending into West Illinois once again. So almost the exact same areas here between all these days getting in on some type of risk, especially Illinois there. But if you live in Indiana and Ohio, you're sitting pretty good right now. There's not really an overly concerning threat for you guys in those states, which is great news. Ohio especially has been hit hard this year, but do pay attention, especially for Saturday and Sunday. We do have that risk that does bump into northern parts of Indiana and just barely brushing the northwest Ohio corner there. So just barely getting in that threat, but the highest risk can extend further to the north here. I'll explain why in a second. And then also just going over a few other things here. Actually, that's all I had to share with you guys in terms of SPC outlooks. Let's go ahead and dive into the models and stuff like that. Starting today with today's risk, we're going to see a line or an arc of storms out here to the west that's going to push toward Illinois later on. It's going to spark some more development here later on this evening, closer to sunset. That's your risk today for Illinois. That's about it. Okay, so again, damaging winds, large hail, the only real concerns out there today. Attention then turns to the Saturday time frame. We're going to be looking at potential storms. I'm going to say potential here. I'll explain why. But we have a cold front that extends all the way up here through Wisconsin, northern Michigan. That's going to be the trigger for storms, but it's not a very strong front. So it's going to be interesting to see how many storms can pop up because that storm or that front there is not overly. It doesn't really provide that much lift. We'll go ahead and put it simply speaking. And we need lift to get updrafts, storm updrafts to get up and going and sustain themselves. So a weaker mechanism of lift is going to kind of throw a wrench in this forecast. And these models don't really handle these situations very well. So it's going to be kind of a wait and see game, but there is a bust potential with this setup here. And it's because that cold front is not as strong as we'd like to see to get storms, strong storms, or, these updrafts sustain themselves. I'm not going to say they're not going to, but the chances there that they may not have that chance to sustain themselves. Looking at the models, though, with the best guidance that we have, we're going to see broken storms here firing late evening time frame here after 8 p.m., so sunset. But the environment, should storms fire up through the afternoon, if storms can fire up anywhere across Wisconsin, Illinois, northern Indiana, Michigan, they would have that risk to be strong to severe because the environment does look good. It's just that matter of the lift mechanism that's lacking. So it's going to be a question of if storms get going. Models do indicate storms will get going later on the evening, closer to sunset. After sunset, this model right here is showing 10 p.m. We're seeing development here across Wisconsin, Illinois, and parts of Michigan here. That pushes east southeast very slowly, but doesn't really materialize into much of anything there. So isolated scattered storms is the likelihood across the region tomorrow. Any storm that does happen to fire up across the region, Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, North Indiana, would have a threat to be severe. Main hazard again, damaging winds, large hail, low risk of a tornado or two possible. It does appear that there is somewhat of a risk for that, but not an overly concerning risk for that. Okay. The other model we have to use is the HRRR model. I'll give you guys this really quickly here. This model is showing rain in the morning hours of Saturday. So you guys are going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be rainy, but it's going to clear out. It should be sunny and we're going to have to destabilize the atmosphere again. That shouldn't be a concern. But this model here does show scattered storms developing across parts of Indiana here and also parts of Michigan here until we have that development on that cold front we see up here. In Michigan and Wisconsin, roughly around the 8 p.m. time frame. This does materialize just a bit better here across parts of Michigan. So it's just going to be a more so isolated, scattered nature of storms tomorrow. And we don't really have a good idea of where exactly they're going to form. It's just we have higher confidence that they're going to form further north, where you see that slight risk in effect there. From northern Michigan back through southern central Wisconsin, back through northern Illinois. But again, if any storms can fire up across most of Michigan, north Indiana, and anywhere in Illinois, basically, and Wisconsin, you guys are going to have that risk for a severe storm or two tomorrow afternoon, but particularly probably going to be more so evening time frame. So with that being said, that is everything I have to share with you guys. A busy time ahead for forecasters, storm chasers, and stuff like that. We do have a couple of chasers today out chasing in the Iowa area where you see that orange risk actually back here today. This risk over here out west, we have chasers out there chasing today. I'm not sure we're going to be going live with them. Depends on how it all plays out, but we do have chasers going out there. They'll be chasing tomorrow, and we also have chasers watching the Sunday and also Monday timeframes as well, because there is a low chance again for Monday. So we've been looking at that a little bit closer here as well. But we'll have more details on Monday, probably by tomorrow, more than likely. So comment section, what's up, Mystic? How I feel today? Better. Pain was worse last night, day 3 of Wisdom 2 surgery recovery here. Day 3 was worse, and the pain seems to be gone, but my throat is sore. So I think it's the medication they're using. They do like a dry socket medication or something. It's making my throat irritated, but otherwise I'm okay. Dennis says, doesn't look like Ohio at this time. No, Ohio looks to be escaping this threat. Like I said, tomorrow is the only day currently within a risk here, and it's for very extreme portions of that northwest Ohio area here. In fact, we can zoom in here. There you go. It's like not even a whole county there. It's like brushing 2 counties there. That's the only risk that I see you guys in right now. We could have a risk on Sunday, especially for northern Ohio there, but I don't think that risk is overly concerning for Ohio. I think that may be more so a Michigan type of threat, but also Wisconsin, Illinois, and that threat on Sunday as well. But yeah, Ohio's getting lucky with this one, and that's fortunate for them because of the active weather they've been through the past couple of weeks. What's up, Jeannie? How's Sunday, Monday looking for Vincent's? Again, just some scattered storms at this point. I don't think you're going to have a threat for severe weather that far south, which is, again, great news for you. But don't be shocked if you get a few storms, but overall severe threat, kind of low down there. It's actually quite low. For some reason, I missed the beginning of the stream. What was the model outlook for south of Michigan tomorrow and Sunday? Yeah, go ahead and switch back over here for Michigan real quickly. For tomorrow, overall threat for tomorrow for Southwest Michigan, it's going to be a marginal risk. So you can see that in dark green. If you're north of Grand Rapids, you might be in a slight risk there in yellow. Overall timing and overall confidence is low, given that we don't have too much confidence that we're going to get storms up and going. But if they do, they would have a chance to be severe, with damaging winds and large hail being the main threats, but a low chance of a tornado cannot be ruled out. Right now, the SPC doesn't have Southwest Michigan in a tornado risk. Before I actually confirm, yeah, here's your tornado risk right here. So it basically stops just south of Grand Rapids there. So depending on where you're at there in southwest parts, you may be in that risk, but right now it's off to your north. That could get extended further south because the environment down there does indicate storms may rotate. But again, it's if storms get going down there. It's a much lower risk the further south you go. So that's also why you see that risk getting cut off there further to the north. Stay hydrated. Trust me. Trust me, I'm right here staying hydrated. I also found that my humidifier, if you guys ever see smoke coming on this camera here, I have a humidifier here. So it's not anything, I'm not smoking, I'm not doing anything, it's just a humidifier. And it helps my nasal passages and also has been helping my throat a lot. So I did see some comments there. Sometimes they're like, what's the smoke in the background? It's a humidifier. It's pretty dry out there today, actually. Humidity's kind of low, so. From Galleon, what's up, Judy? Robinson, Illinois. If you guys are asking about your areas, mention the day, because we have multiple threats over multiple days or multiple areas. So if you guys are curious about your areas, be sure to include what day you're inquiring, and also that's it. That's just it. Make sure you give me your area and your time frame with that. What day, Sue? What day? If we're talking today, let me go ahead and pull up where Robinson is. I do not know exactly top of my head where Robinson is. So give me 1 second to Google this real quick, and I'll go ahead and compare where you're at on the map here to the risk. That bug is still flying around me. Got him, I think. All right, Robinson, Illinois, you are right on the Indiana border area. So your risk is quite low throughout the time frame. If there's going to be any risk, it's going to be probably for tomorrow for you. But I think you are far enough south not to worry about that. Yeah, Judy, not much happening there for Ohio. Just some scattered storms next couple of days possible. I don't see any severe threat for you. It could have like a stronger type of storm, maybe some small hail for you. But overall, the severe threat's much higher off to the west and north from Ohio. Yeah, Sue, for Saturday, for tomorrow, your risk is off to your north right now. You do have a risk for storms, but severe weather is probably going to be quite low of a risk for you. So you should be fine. Was really hoping Saturday night and early Sunday morning wasn't going to look so nasty, but it looks like I won't be making that drive from Stevenson County, Illinois to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, regardless because I'm sick. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, you're in the biggest, or not the biggest. Yeah, you technically are in the biggest risk, but overall, a slight risk is not too much to be concerned about. You'd be fine to make that drive, I'm going to say, especially because storms look to hold off until late evening. But if you're sick, then yeah, I mean, nothing really can do about that. But if you wanted to make that drive, you'd be fine to make that drive, more than likely. Yeah, no problem, Judy. Yeah, a lot of people do, Sue. A lot of people do. But overall, I don't think you have much to be worried about. Which is honestly, we've been having these severe risks lately. It's been pretty good news. We're getting a little bit of a break here for the hardest hit areas. I mean, Illinois has been hit pretty hard, but the hardest hit areas, Ohio and down by the Ohio River through Indiana and Illinois, down by the border of Kentucky there, that's been the hardest hit areas. And these areas look to be kind of escaping the higher risks, if any risks at all, next couple of days. So that's great news. Gives you guys a little bit of a break here. But of course, we have to mention the active pattern and stuff like that, which we've been advertising this for about a week or so. We're in that active pattern. It's just we don't know the exact details of where it's going to come down to, which is finally coming down to fruition here. We're getting these, honed in on some of these areas, and luckily, they're missing the hardest hit ones so far this year. On one map for tomorrow, it shows Howell and marginal, and the other one doesn't. Which one is right? Let's go ahead and explore that. Okay, we can actually do this in a way we can get right on and zoom right into Howell. Let's do this. Give me 1 second here to pull up this. This is our radar software here. We can actually overlay the SPC outlook, and we can zoom right into Howell. This is for tomorrow, you said? Yes, for tomorrow. Okay. That's for today. I want tomorrow. There we go. All right, where are you at? You're up here somewhere. There's Southline. There's Brighton. Where are you at? There's Wixom. I know this area. I live in this area. Yeah, Howell is in the marginal risk. You are right there. So you are in the marginal. Now, this is going to be updated tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but updated in about an hour or so. 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, they're going to update this outlook. So we'll have a better idea if anything shifts, and we'll post that if anything does shift significantly. But yeah, Howell, you are well within that marginal risk there. Yeah, it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. Radar Omega here is actually available for you guys to download. It costs some money. There's a big learning curve, but you can download this app. I have it on the computer. It's great for software when streaming, stuff like that, but you guys can download it yourselves and learn. It's called Radar Omega. But trust me when I say, if you're going to download it, make sure you have time to learn, because there is a ton of stuff in here. Families in Saginaw, Michigan. Saginaw, Michigan, you are in marginal risk for tomorrow. So yeah, pay attention late evening, I'm going to say. If your family watches the weather, just make sure they're aware of that. But overall, not a very high risk. It's level 1 out of 5, 5 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. So it's a pretty low risk for Saginaw, but still it's a risk nonetheless. We have to respect severe weather and the environment altogether, just because we never know exactly what's going to happen on severe weather days. And a couple days ago in Michigan was a great example of that. We had no expectation of rotating storms, and we had 2 or 3 storms try to at least put down a tornado, which is really weird. So always got to respect the possibility of severe weather. Even though the chance may be low, it's still a chance. Yeah, Brad, I did a little bit earlier, but we can do it again here. This is for tomorrow, I'm assuming. I know I recognize your name from the MSC page. We can focus here on Michigan just for a second for tomorrow. We'll be going live for those of you watching from Michigan Storm Chaser page. We're going live tonight at 7 o'clock to go over things in detail for Michigan specifically. So overall, though, tomorrow we're going to have one model showing pretty much nothing here in the state. Rain clears out tonight. In the morning, we're going to have some clear. And then it's dry through the afternoon, but then we have scattered development here along the warm front, but it doesn't hang out too long. South Michigan does not get in on the threat in on the storms here, but if we look at the other model here, we're going to see scattered development across Michigan, even parts of Indiana as well, which is right here. There's some in Indiana there. Those would have a chance to be a strong to severe, although I don't think they're going to be overly concerning. But then that secondary line up there where that slight risk is develops on the warm or on the cold front there. So that's going to be the main area of concern. So nothing looks overly organized, but the chances there, the environment's there. It's just going to be a matter of if the storms can get up and, get going, because we lack that mechanism of lift. Yeah, Brad, there's a little bit of a cap there. It was stronger over not last night, but 2 nights ago. We hopped on yesterday morning and said we had a cap there. That was because some models overnight were showing, a bit of a capping inversion. It's more so going to be not a cap issue, but more so a lift issue. You need to have a force of lift to get storms updrafts up and going, and we're going to lack that. We have the cold front, but it's not a very strong cold front. So it's going to be a big question mark on if storms can sustain themselves. We may see storms try to go up and then right back down. Or, I mean, these models don't handle these types of situations very well. So we're not putting too much weight in these models. It's going to be a wait and see game. We have to highlight the risk, and if nothing happens, great. But the environment tomorrow, beside that force of lift, does look pretty good for damaging winds, large hail, and not so much for tornadoes. But the risk is there because we do have some wind shear there that's turning with height a little bit there. So we do have a small risk there of a tornado or two. But it's just gonna be a matter if the storms can get up and going. No problem, Brad. I try to explain this as best as possible. Sometimes meteorology can be quite confusing, so I try to get this down as simply as possible. All right. Any more questions, guys? That bug is still flying around me. I swear. I thought I killed him twice. All right. We'll have an update at 1:30 on the pages if anything changes in terms of locations. And if you guys are watching from the Michigan Storm Chasers page, we'll be going live specifically for Michigan at 7 p.m. tonight on the Michigan Storm Chaser page. With that being said, though, we're going to hop off here. You guys have a nice day and enjoy the beautiful stretch of weather besides the storm chances, a beautiful warmth, sunshine coming up next couple of days here. So with that being said, I'm going to hop off here. You guys have an excellent day.